Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and delighted to have back in the studio with us today Kevin Lamson. He is the man. He is the executive director of Hearts with a Mission and passion for kids and all the things that he's doing. So anyway, good to see you, bud. How are you?
I'm great.
Man.
It's raining, though.
Yeah, well, you know, we need it. Thanking the Lord for the water, aren't we?
Absolutely.
All right, good to see you. Well, you got a lot of things going on. First of all, give us a ministry update. What's happening?
Well, Hearts with a Mission continues to kind of expand the services that we've been providing and dealing with kids, loving on kids. And, you know, the kind of our goal ever since we've been open was to be able to recruit families to become, you know, basically surrogate families for the kids that need a place to go when they can't go back to their own home. And we've just watched God continue to, you know, chip away and prepare us, and then when his timing was perfect, open the doors, and now we're able to do that. So
wow, you've had quite a success there, and you're full a lot of times.
yeah, we've had almost 500 kids come through the door. Yeah, in 5 years. 500
kids. Man, that's amazing. So what's next? Where are you heading?
Safe Families for Children. It's a program based on biblical hospitality. A doctor by the name of David Anderson back in Chicago wrote the program. He's the executive director of Lydia House back there that works with the homeless. And really what it is a program that, I don't know if his intention was that it could be replicated, but he wrote it specifically for, you know, reaching out to families when they first ask for help, rather than waiting until there's abuse that takes place in a home and child welfare intervenes and takes the kids out of the family. It's, you know, it's getting as far upstream as you can get and providing that help.
Wow. So do you need churches involved in this?
Yes, we do. We're in the process of recruiting families, and the cool thing about this is that abuse happens in isolation. So this program, nobody is isolated. That means that in order to become a host family, you have to be willing to be sponsored by a church. Meaning sponsored doesn't mean that you have to attend that church. It just means that you have to be willing to allow people inside that church to provide assistance as a host family to help the family that you're helping.
So how does this play out through government issues and like foster parenting and all that?
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Actually, believe it or not, the state of Oregon was the first state that passed Safe Families for Children as an approved method of providing respite for youth outside of child welfare with no child welfare involvement.
Really?
So they've endorsed the program. They're basically saying, we'll let the church be the church if they want to step up and they want to help out with the program. And I guess we have our criticisms. Obviously, they're not doing it right. I don't think if you talk to any foster care agency throughout the states, any of them would admit what they're doing well. The recidivism rate's terrible. Kids, when they exit foster care, is terrible. You don't just throw money at that. You have to have a relationship. You know, it's one of those things that kids, we all are created to be loved. And these kids have a desire to be loved, and they want to be part of something.
All right, so this is pretty exciting. So you are asking folks, families, to basically come under the accountability of a church or be sponsored by a church to take in kids, basically.
Right.
And how soon are you going to do this?
We already have 6 kids in homes.
You do? Okay.
Yes. So it's one of those things that Hearts with a Mission is the mediator in between. We're the implementer of the program. So we provide the background checks for the state to make sure that the families they're going to are appropriate. We do the home inspections. We also have put our resources towards it, meaning that we will commit our counselors, we commit our case managers to help them navigate along. We do harmony agreements. We can go all the way up to age 24, I believe it is. And it's one of those things that you almost become a mini Hearts with a Mission, only it's just providing a family for one youth. And you just treat them like your own, and it's helping them navigate through life.
How long are these kids in the home? As long as they want them, or what?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the goal would be to reunify them back to their own family, but as you know, and we've talked about before, many of these families, there's addictions, there's abuse, and it's not safe for them to go back to, or that family no longer exists. So we do it on a whatever basis that it needs to be done. If it needs to be 90 days, reevaluate in 30 days, and we have an open communication with the host family and also, us. And the thing is, you're not doing it by yourself. Somebody's going to be alongside you in the church. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately, this is going to give our church, which is everybody that is occupying our buildings, an opportunity to serve locally in our community. Bring a meal. If you and Peggy are hosting a kid, I'll help you mow your lawn, or I will bring you a meal, or when you leave town, I'll watch the child for you. If you need them taken to the dentist, I'll do that. So what it is it's coming around that host family to give it as much support as you can, and hopefully creating time for that host family to work with the biological family to find out what needs that they have.
Wow.
So many levels of ministry that we can do it.
Wow. This is terrific. All right, so heartswiththemission.org, that's how they start, or call you?
Yes, just go to heartswiththemission.org, and then we can walk through the process. We have 3 churches on board right now, and we're looking to do that. We have to go explain the program, that we do the training. You're not getting a perfect kid, but none of us are perfect. So we just need to make sure that there's compatibility with the families and that they understand what we're really trying to do.
So how young do you go with this?
Well, we are right now we're almost like a pilot project, because the program was designed and written for kids under the age of 5.
Really?
So theoretically, we could go back to age 0 all the way up to 24. Yeah. We're not doing that yet. We're going to get it figured out with the teenagers, because that's our immediate lead. I have 4 kids right now at the shelter that need a family. 4. Okay. And you lose hope real quick in life when you reach a point and says, nobody wants me, I don't care either. I was going to bring a letter from one of the young boys that we have in there. Wow. And it's just heartbreaking. He's getting ready to turn 18 in a couple months, and he wrote a letter to Sharon and I, who's our program director, saying, I really hope there's somebody out there that wants me. He said, I just want advice. I just want somebody to walk through life with me. I have goals, I have dreams, but he said, I can't do it alone. And I'm afraid when I turn 18, I'm not going to have anybody. I mean, he'll be at my house. I guarantee I'm not going to let that kid, go alone. But these kids change your life, because for the first time, you have to think of somebody other than yourself.
Right. Yeah, and that's the greatest of all Christian virtues. All right, you got a fun run coming up, and I want to get the word out on this, because this has turned out to be quite the event on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, what a great way to tell your wife you love her, right?
Take off running?
From her.
So what is it?
Out at Harry and David Field, multiple options. You can bring the whole family, bring your sweetheart. You can do a walk, you can do a run. We have a costume on the 1 mile fun run. Dress up as your favorite hero, Batman, Superman, whatever you'd like to come of. It's just a time to come together, get a little exercise in, and let us explain more about what Hearts with the Mission is doing.
All right, so what do they do if they want? You got, let's see, a 1 mile fun run. Individuals $10, families $25, 5K and 10K individuals, 5K couples and families. So you got all of it.
We got everything. If you want to run together, alone, far, short.
Yeah. All right, that's coming up Valentine's Day. So there you go. And of course, the proceeds will help Hearts with a Mission and all their programs. And let me encourage you to help these guys. They really do a tremendous service. And again, heartswiththemission.org on this?
Yeah, and it'll just go to the top, and it'll be a big thing there that says fun run, sign up here, and go from there.
All right, and so if you're a runner, a walker, a hero imitator, get involved in this. Go to heartswiththemission.org. And I want to come back to this family concept program. And what's the official name?
Safe Families for Children is the program. Senate Bill 991, if you wanted to look it up. And it's one of those things that it's all written out there, and we're the implementer of the program, but because it was designed for kids under 5, we're actually designing the program for older kids.
Wow. All right, I would really encourage you to pray about this. And I'm processing this through my head about as fast as you are, but this is a way to get into Christian-based, faith-based foster care quickly without all the red tape, I guess.
There is no red tape. The state's not even involved. You know, the number one reason that, not number one reason, but a thing I found out that was really interesting, kids that were leaving foster care didn't know that they could go back to their foster families for Christmas or Thanksgiving. They thought when they left, they just had to leave. And so now what they're doing is making sure that they let those kids know that they can go back.
Wow.
They don't have to, but I mean, we need to have families. I mean,
yeah, you got to have that
connection. The church
connection.
is a family.
So if you are thinking about this, and you may want to talk to your church, have your church sponsor the program. And you're not at it alone. You're not taking somebody in your home and you're left alone. This is where the church comes in. They kind of circle the wagons around you and make sure all the things are taken care of.
Yeah.
What a great concept.
I know it.
Yeah, and this could be a real winner, you know, across the board.
It's in 26 states right now, and it's just growing. And wow. It's life-changing. You know, we've had the blessing of being involved with kids that go to families for the first time. The most common thread, and it's the same thing our kids say when they speak. It's the first time I've ever had anybody really care about me.
Wow. All right, check it out, heartswiththemission.org, and check out the family
Safe Families for Children.
Safe Families for Children program, and check out the fun run coming up Saturday, February 14th. That's a week from this Saturday, Valentine's Day. It's for individuals, couples, and families, and the proceeds will help Hearts with the Mission have a lot of fun. Dress up as whatever you want to dress up as. Come as Kevin Lamson. Who knows? You may win something.
Hey, there's even an option when you sign up that you can just sleep in and donate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you
My
can't get
kind
away.
of a run.
Yeah.
That's terrific. All right, thanks, Kevin. Good to see you, buddy. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Welcome back, and delighted to have back with us today Avi Davis. He's the editor of the Intermediate Zone and president of American Freedom Alliance. His commentary on Israel and the Middle East, perhaps you've seen them or read them in the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, USA Today, and the American Thinker. And he's got some interesting things to talk to us today about what's going on with Israel and the re-election of Prime Minister Netanyahu and about. Hi, Avi. Good to see you. How you doing, my friend?
Good, terrific. How are you, Perry? It's very nice to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. Well, listen, what is the anti-Israel Obama party? What's going on there?
Well, it's a very strange set of circumstances, isn't it, with the president seeming to want to influence the situation in Israel, the elections in Israel. And of course, we've seen recently the invitation by John Boehner, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, to Benjamin Netanyahu to address a joint session of Congress on the 3rd of March without supposedly notifying the White House. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that Netanyahu and Obama just don't get along. Yeah. It's very much a personal struggle between these two people. And as a result, it has seemed to have infected their, well, at least Obama's statecraft, because Israel is a very important ally in the Middle East. And the only stable democracy, its intelligence services are highly valued for the purposes of detecting what is happening with ISIS and with Hezbollah and Iran, and a whole host of other reasons. And unfortunately, Barack Obama has allowed his personal animus to in some way influence the way that he has handled Israel, which is the mark of what I would a mark of tremendous immaturity on the part of the president.
I find his whole behavior towards Israel, and in particular Prime Minister Netanyahu, to be stunning. As you alluded to, our strongest ally in the Middle East, we have mistreated them. We have been very unpolite. We've been disrespectful, and the list goes on. I just don't get it. And then, of course, and this whole flap over him coming in March 3rd to address the joint session of Congress, it's not as if he hasn't done that before.
Absolutely. And in fact, he did exactly the same thing in 2011. The protocol was exactly the same. In other words, Boehner invited him, informed the White House. The White House didn't utter a peep. And Netanyahu conducted the address without any problems whatsoever, and actually was invited to meet with Obama at the time. This has just been escalated by the White House maybe for political purposes, mostly for personal reasons, I believe. I think that it's important to note, Perry, that Netanyahu was really taking the measure of the president and sees him as only having a couple of years left in office. He understands the presidents come and go, but congressional seats are held for much longer. And as a result, he feels it's important to cultivate the members of Congress who've always been supportive of Israel, tremendously supportive over the last 40 years in all manner of crises. Therefore, it's become it's become incumbent upon him to reach out to Congress, because within that gallery on March 3rd may be sitting the next president of the United States.
Yeah, no question about it. The other thing is that the Congress is certainly closer to the people than the president is, and especially after this past midterm election and the turnover in the House and the Senate, I would say that the Prime Minister is heading into a very sympathetic session and will be heard with great enthusiasm.
No question about it. I think that Congress is extremely concerned, as is the state of Israel, about the rise of nuclear Iran. It doesn't have very much faith in the negotiations being conducted in Geneva, and it feels that Iranian influence is spreading across the Middle East in a very alarming way, particularly with the fall of the American allied government in Yemen, and the rise, of course, of ISIS in Iraq and Syria, Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and Hamas in Gaza. All of these things have created this archipelago of Iranian influence that I think that many of the members of Congress are extremely concerned about and do not think the Obama administration takes seriously enough.
How do you think this speech to the joint session of Congress will play out for his re-election? That's not entirely clear.
Netanyahu has been a very prominent individual on the international circuit. He's spoken to the United Nations at least 6 times in the last 5 years, and he has spoken to Congress, of course. He's met with every major national leader across the world, and he's already established his credentials as a foreign in foreign policy. I think that that's not really. I don't think the address before the Congress is going to make all that much difference. And of course, his opponents are going to make much hay out of this. They're going to claim, well, he's doing this in order to influence the elections and prove that he does have foreign policy credentials. I don't think it's true. I think that he's already established them. However, what Netanyahu's doing, I think, would be something any Israeli prime minister would do, who is concerned about national security and the rise of Iran. He has to reach out to the Congress and inform them about Israel's concerns and convince them that his concerns, security concerns, are also America's.
Do you think that the Prime Minister believes or perhaps understands two things? One, that the faith community in America supports him, at least for the most part, and most Americans probably still feel very strongly that Israel is our ally in the Middle East, and that his problems is primarily with one person, that's President Obama.
Well, I think not only does Netanyahu know of the tremendous Christian support for, particularly the evangelical community across the United States, he knows it's stronger there and more unified than it is in the Jewish community, which is a shocking thing to say. But the Christian support, without question, has always been, or at least during his tenure, has always been much stronger than it has been amongst the Jewish community. As far as the second part of your question again.
Well, his primary problem with the United States really surrounds one person, and that's the president. But you know, Avi, when he spoke before the last joint session, and when he spoke at the UN, I don't think anybody will forgive or forget when he drew the red line on the picture. And he is certainly coming back to let us know that maybe we are literally sitting on the red line now. Do you think that's what he's going to do?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I think he's going to hammer home the importance of confronting Iran beyond anything else. Of course, the problem is, of course, Obama believes that Iran should be our ally in fighting ISIS and beating back ISIS. And therefore, he's willing to accommodate the rise of Iranian power, maybe even nuclear power, in order to get them on our side. It's a very, very, very dangerous gambit. And because the Iranians have no love for the United States and certainly no love for Barack Obama. And it's likely to fail. And the president himself, in his press conference with David Cameron not 2 weeks ago, said that it's going to fail. He said that it has a less than 50% chance of succeeding. So Netanyahu is going to be capitalizing on this, and he's going to be pushing the point. Look, we've got to be united in confronting this, because it's not just a threat to the state of Israel. It represents a threat to the entire world. And America has to take leadership now. I think you'll see a very forceful speech from Benjamin Netanyahu before that session of Congress.
I look forward to it. My last question for you, and I know you have a tight schedule. How does Prime Minister Netanyahu's re-election look? Do you think he'll be re-elected?
I think it's quite close, but when you look at the polls, you have to look at not just at Netanyahu's figures, and it shows him lagging a little bit behind, but you need to look at the entire right wing in Israel, which has a far more favorable rating than the left. The left is now manned by really people who haven't established a national or international presence. Isaac Herzog in the Labour Party, Tzipi Livni for her party. The opposition to Netanyahu and to the right wing isn't very forceful. And I think that the Iranian issue is of extreme importance to Israelis right now across the political spectrum. And a lot of people don't like Netanyahu because they see him as arrogant and bluff and aloof. But in terms of his the projection of strength and of commitment to confronting Iran, I think is going to be primary in the Israeli citizens' eyes.
Avi, thank you for your time. I know you're busy. People who want to connect with you, it's avidavis.wordpress.com. Again, that's avidavis.wordpress.com. Thanks, my friend. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Terrific. Thanks so much for having me this morning.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and delighted to have back in the studio with us Treva Kuyper. She is the co-leader of the Loft. It's a terrific ministry here in Southern Oregon that reaches out to the girls between 8th and 12th grade and impacting their lives, and a variety of topics every month. And hi.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good to see you. What was the topic last month?
We did body image.
Oh, body image.
Yes.
How'd that go?
It went really, really well. It was really powerful.
What is body image?
Well,
I'm a guy.
I know. Well, and all girls struggle with body image, and we were able to talk to them about their value and their worth in Christ. And we had amazing speakers that came and shared their struggle as teenagers with how they viewed themselves and what God showed them by, they're worth something because God made them. He created them with a purpose, and He created them special, and the girls loved it. Some of the girls told me they left there feeling so much better about themselves because they were able to see who they were in Christ.
All right. Well, this one coming up this Sunday, by the way, you can skip into any of these, right?
Yes,
you can hop
absolutely.
in. It'll be what time Sunday?
5:30 to 8:30 this Sunday.
Okay, at the Community Bible Church in Central Point. All right, here you go. Love, sex, and relationships.
Yes.
Okay, well,
And
well, you have to talk about it.
We do. And
yeah.
we're bringing in love, sex, and fairy tales because we really want to talk to the girls about even when they were little girls and they all dreamed about the Prince Charming, and so many of our girls are inundated with the media, TV shows, movies, that whole idea that there is that perfect Prince Charming out there. And once they find him, their life will be happy, their life will be fulfilled, they will be complete. And we want to address that because that's not true. It's not true. And so we're taking kind of a different angle on sex and relationships by looking at the fairy tales that we've all grown up believing as girls.
Well, the whole thing of love and sex and relationships today has been, it's just been so inundated with nonsense. And back to the Prince Charming thing, that ends up being the #1 factor in sex trafficking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And if the problem is that if they think they can find that person, that one person to love them unconditionally, that one person to protect them, and then someone comes along who's really a predator, lies and deceives them, thinking that he is that person, they're all in. They fall for it.
Is abstinence being understood and embraced today?
I think we're trying to have it be understood. I think organizations like the Silver Ring thing that come to town every year that promote abstinence and make it cool again. There's something about our culture that says if you save yourself for marriage, if you look at sex as sacred and special, then you're odd, you're strange, you're awkward. There's a negative connotation to that. And I think that we're trying to make abstinence give them awareness, but trying to make it cool again because it is the way that saves you from self-destruction, from pain and agony, from to keep sex sacred, which is how God intended it to be.
Well, the culture is, it's fun. It's something that's expected that you do. This is what you do at the date. It's cool. Everybody's doing. I mean, I don't think that the average parent, well, maybe they do. I shouldn't say I don't know, but sometimes we just have a hard time believing that these kids are under immense pressure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And sex now in dating is just the same as if you were to kiss somebody or hug somebody. I mean, it really has lowered the standards of sexual activity in dating. Can be anything. And our society says if it feels good, do it. If you want to do it, do it. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. They don't talk about the consequences, the pain and the heartache that comes with it. It's really just, if it feels good to you, then go ahead.
Do you deal with the consequences of sex outside of marriage? I mean, I'm sure you do, but I mean, do you think that it registers?
I think it does a little bit. I know with our teenagers, they need to hear things over and over and over again. Even with the gospel, they need to hear the gospel at least 17 times before they might receive Christ. So when we're talking truth about sex with them and about relationships, the consequences and the reality of it, we need to say it over and over again. So this Sunday night, we have several speakers that are coming. We have one lady who's coming who saved herself for marriage. We have another one who has a past similar to mine. I had an abortion when I was 19. She's had several abortions. So we're kind of hitting this from different angles so that we can relate to all the girls in the room and really let them see the reality of it. When we wait the way God intended us to wait for marriage, which is the appropriate place to have sex, when we wait, there's blessing in that. There's blessing in that. It's a gift. When we don't wait, someone like me who got pregnant when I was 19 and had an abortion, there's consequences, there's pain, there's heartache, there's things that you have to work through. And we're trying to kind of peel back the curtain and let them see the reality of what the world is feeding them and what the truth of what the Lord says, and give them both sides of that.
That is, that's amazing, because I think that, again, the pressure that so many are under, they want to be accepted, they want to have relationships, you know, and that we're in this sex-crazed world. I mean, everything has just been sexualized to a degree. I don't know how these girls navigate through it, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of these girls, oral sex is huge in the later elementary, junior high ages, which just blows my mind, but it's true. And you know, last month when we talked about body image, we really hit on how the world is very fickle. They'll tell you that, you know, back in the Marilyn Monroe days, maybe a little bit heavier of a woman is the way that you should be. That's beautiful. And then in the 60s, it was Twiggy, who was extremely skinny, and that was beautiful. And the world will tell us all different things depending on the decade. And so being able to look at their worth and their value, which then flows into how they view themselves and how they give of themselves. And so in way of sex and relationships, how are they viewing themselves and what are they giving away? What are they willing to give away?
What about the message of those who have already made the mistake? I mean, you're going to go in there and they're going to hear, you should wait, you should wait, you should wait. Well, some of them didn't. And the reality of that, and moving forward from there.
Well, that's my story. And I'm definitely going to share my story with them, that with my dads in my life, not in my life, just not receiving what I wanted from my dads, I wanted a man to love me. So I slept around, went to parties, had sex with whomever I dated, because I thought that would get me love. I thought that would get me acceptance. I just wanted to be held. And then God got a hold of me and he redeemed me. And did I feel bad about myself? Absolutely. When I was pregnant and I had the abortion, I didn't think the Lord would ever give me children because I thought that was due consequence for me. That would be punishment. That's what I deserved. Well, it is probably what I deserved, but it's not what God gave. God gave mercy and grace and his son and redeemed me, and there is great forgiveness in that. And that's what we want the girls to know, that if they've crossed a boundary, if they've lost their virginity, if they're in a place even currently right now, they come on Sunday and they're currently sleeping with their boyfriend, we want them to know that there is grace in that and redemption and forgiveness, and they can have hope in that. And a lot of the ladies that are coming to share their story, that is their story of victory and redemption. And it's interesting because the girls, when we look at the fairy tales, the girls that look for that Prince Charming, we have a Prince Charming. It's Christ. He's the Prince of Peace. He's our Prince. He's our King. He's Lord of Lords. And we're going to share that with them as well.
This is fabulous and so well done. 5:30 Sunday evening, this coming Sunday evening, Community Bible Church in Central Point. You can just show up. If you're between 8th grade and 12th grade, just be there. You're going to be loved, fed, and you're just going to really get involved with a great group and hear some great testimony. All right, before we run out of time, you're going to get involved in a fashion show?
We are. Yes. We are hosting.
So girly.
It is so girly. Everything we do is very girly. Yes, at the end of April 24th, the Loft is hosting a fashion show for sex trafficking awareness.
Wow.
So we're combining the two ideas, And we want it to be lighthearted and fun and invite the girls, their families, their friends. The whole community is invited. The Valley is invited. And then we're going to have Rebecca Bender from Rebecca Bender Ministries, who's a survivor of sex trafficking. And she is phenomenal. And she's going to come and speak to the girls and bring awareness to that and share her story.
Well, there you go. Mark that one down. April 24th on the calendar. We'll give you more information as we get closer to it, but just kind of pencil that in right now, April 24th for the fashion show. Well, Treva, this is wonderful, and I just want to say again, moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents, whatever, if you have a young girl in your life, in your home, between the ages of 8th grade and 12th grade, this is open. In fact, you know what? They don't have to come alone. They can bring a friend.
Yes, they can bring several friends. And you don't have to RSVP. Show up at 5:30, have dinner. We'll have games and prizes.
Yeah.
And then we'll go through sex and fairy tales.
I just can't say enough for what this organization is doing. So please take advantage. Well, thank you. Best to you. And what you got a couple more after that, I guess, huh?
We do. We're going to talk about online safety. We're going to talk about depression, addiction, anxiety. We have a lot coming up. We'll be going once a month through June, the second Sunday of each month.
Wow, wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Hey, delight to have with us today Scott Jorgensen, and he is a legislative staffer up at the Oregon legislature. Of course, they're in session now. He's also an author and a former reporter, so he's kind of our man and eyes, hands and feet on the ground up there. Hi, Scott. How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you, Mr. Atkinson.
Yeah, good to see you. Perry, Mr. Atkinson's my dad.
Well, I spent most of my adult life calling your son Senator Atkinson.
There you go. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, a lot going on up there, but quickly, before we get into some of the issue, what's the general feel now with the Oregonians saying that the governor ought to step aside?
Well, that plays into a lot of what's been going on right now, and the media has been all over it, and not a day goes by where we don't have TV news crews scouring the halls looking for somebody to talk to about it. In fact, my boss, State Senator Doug Whitsitt, whose district includes part of Jackson County, was quoted in an Oregonian article about that yesterday. And there were statements released from the Senate President Peter Courtney and House Speaker Tina Kotek regarding that situation. The thing is that Governor Kitzhaber throughout his career has been very effective at using his position as a bully pulpit. I remember being here in the 2012 session as a reporter, and he's not afraid to go into committee and testify on behalf of his priority bills. He isn't doing that this session, and believe it or not, none of the Democratic legislators are lining up for photo ops with him right about now.
I would imagine so. Wow. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the issues that you've been tracking. The one that I think we have here is the SB 324, the Low Carbon Standard Bill. What is that one?
That's extremely controversial, and it's tied directly to a lot of the issues surrounding the governor and his girlfriend. And essentially what it is that it gives broad rulemaking authority to the Department of Environmental Quality to set what they call standards for carbon intensity. And it's aimed at traditional fuel suppliers. And so it counts that carbon intensity throughout the life cycle of the fuel. So that would be the manufacturing, the storage, the transportation, and it makes it to where they'd be in a position to have to purchase credits. And the credits would be purchased from producers of so-called green energy, so biofuels. And it's basically a giveaway to very politically connected entities. Wow. And the thing is that there are 15 producers of these biofuels and so-called green fuels, and 13 of them are located out of state. So you're going to be seeing a lot of money going out of state, and not going towards things like paving roads here in Oregon.
Do you think it'll pass?
There's a lot of pressure going on right now. And the thing is that this was one of the first bills heard this session. So the very first day of session, a public hearing was held on this bill at the same exact time as the next bill we're going to talk about, automatic voter registration. Some of the committees are just now doing their orientations and meeting for the first time, but this has already passed through committee on the Senate side. We're expecting it to come up on the Senate floor early next week, at which point it heads over to the House. But the thing is that they're trying to get this through really quickly before people realize what's going on.
Are you saying, Scott, that it's possible that the governor's fiancé fingerprints are on this bill?
They're all over it. Yes, absolutely. And that's ultimately who benefits from it. But the thing is that who pays for it is you, me, and everybody else. And it's going to hit low-income Oregonians particularly hard because it's going to cost them more to drive to work. It's going to cost more to heat your home. And all this, for the benefit of a handful of out-of-state energy companies. It's a subsidy is what it is. The governor's energy advisor was part of a discussion about this at the Association of Oregon Counties a couple of weeks ago, and she referred to it as a market transformation mechanism. So what does that mean to you?
Boy. All right, let's slip over to the automatic voter registration. We've heard it all over the news. The Secretary of State's thinking it's a good idea. Obviously, the governor's given it a nod. Well, anyway, go ahead and explain the bill. We can pick it apart, but how is it being presented?
So this is House Bill 2177. An identical version of this bill had come up last session, but was defeated in the Senate. And the dynamics have changed around here since the election because the Democrats now have a supermajority in the Senate and are one vote shy of a supermajority over in the House. But it essentially gives broad rulemaking authority, which is a pretty common theme this session, to the Secretary of State's office to take records from the Department of Motor Vehicles of every driver in the state and automatically register them to vote. And there's a lot of issues surrounding that. One of them is the Secretary of State's office has a very poor track record of securing people's data. This time last year, their website had been hacked, data had been compromised, and the website was down at a time when the filing deadline for office was looming. And I was working with a lot of candidates at the time. You literally had no idea who was filing for what. You had no way of knowing. And so the Secretary of State's office also has its corporate division. People couldn't get any of that information either. There's also the way the bill would work is that the Secretary of State's office would take that data and then give it to the counties, and it would then be up to the counties to reach out to these voters and say, hey, here are your options. You have an opt-out. You can opt out of voting, and here's the instructions for registering for a particular political party. But as you and I both know, half of the counties in this state are literally a few months away from complete insolvency. So it is tantamount to an unfunded mandate for a lot of these struggling counties like Josephine County. And I covered county government there day in and day out for 4 years. And that's going to be a really big issue and an obstacle towards actually implementing this.
Well, I think one of the things we've heard, Scott, was, if somebody is not interested in voting and you've already registered them, basically, I think on the political side of things, that would certainly enhance the Democrats' voting registration numbers. But whether or not they turn out the votes is something else. But what I'm hearing you also say is that the Secretary of State's office capability of handling personal citizens' information is compromised. Therefore, what are we doing here?
Well, and it puts it at risk, too. And they're also making a big push to register folks who are as young as 16 to vote, like a pre-registration process, if you will. And the issue then comes up that that data, the people's voter registration data, then becomes a public record. So it's that balancing act of they're trying to say that, oh, well, we'll do everything we can to secure the private data of minors, but their actual ability to do so remains unknown.
What's preventing the Secretary of State of giving those new registered voters, giving that information to a political party?
That's a very good question. And that's one of the many reasons why we think this is a very bad idea. There's another bill that's going to come up next week, Monday, in fact, that has to do with, currently if you change your address, the DMV sends you a sticker and you put it on your license above where it currently is. But that would eliminate that requirement. So these two bills put together would be extremely dangerous in terms of being able to track who actually is a registered legitimate voter and who is not. There's also the question of whether or not people who are not citizens of the United States are going to be automatically registered to vote. So there are a lot of unanswered questions about this bill, which is probably one of the reasons that they're trying to push this one through. This was passed out of committee and will be on the House floor probably early next week.
Well, I got to assume at this point, given the potential supermajority, of course, in the Senate, close to that in the House, it's going to pass. I mean, this is a Democrats' dream come true.
Well, and that's why I would urge every single one of your viewers and listeners, we need you to participate in this process. The legislative website is www.oregonlegislature.gov. And it's very user-friendly. It has all the information you would ever need about every one of the bills, its sponsors, who's testified for it, all the exhibits that have been presented for it, the amendments. Now is the time to become involved. A lot of folks become involved just around election time, but this is when we need you the most. We need you to contact your state senators and representatives because public opinion does matter. And if people stay in this building for too long, they become insulated because you're surrounded by lobbyists and other legislators and special interests. But the public needs to participate in this process, and the extent to which they do will result in better outcomes for all of us.
OregonLegislature.gov, and I thank you, Scott, for bringing that to us. OregonLegislature.gov. Before I let you go, one other quick question. As you know, Oregon's education is now at the bottom. The very bottom of the list. And I can't help but think that that's going to be the very thing that the Democrats want to do to raise more money or have more tax money go towards education, saying we need to spend more money in order to fix the problem. Do you sense that already?
Their big push is for early childhood education. And so they want to get kids as young as 3 years old in the system. But you're right. I'm glad you brought this up. Oregon has the worst graduation rate in the United States. And that's why I think it's baffling that on the first day of the session, there was no bills about that as a priority, because you figure that fixing this would be a top priority. Instead, what you get is low carbon fuel standards, which is a giveaway to special interest groups of the environmentalists, and automatic voter registration. That took priority over our abysmal graduation rate, which is the worst in the nation. And I think that tells you all you need to know about the priorities of the prevailing party.
Thank you, my friend. Let's stay in touch as the weeks go by here and in the months ahead. Thanks for being in the fray, and thanks for being a soldier for all the good things there. Best to the senator that you serve under. And again, OregonLegislature.gov is the resource for you to go to track all the bills. Let's stay in touch, Scott. Good to see you again.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about this, because people need to know what's happening in this building, especially all the scandals going on with the governor's office. The stench is overwhelming, and people need to be involved in the process to let their representatives and senators know that they're not happy about this.
That's wonderful. All right, thanks, Scott. Talk to you again soon. All right, we'll see you next time on Focus Today. But let me remind you, I think Scott is making a very good point here. OregonLegislature.gov. Track these bills, contact your senators and your House members, even send an email to the governor, send them to the Senate President, to the House Speaker. Let your voice be known, because if not, we're going to get slammed with nonsense. Again, OregonLegislature.gov. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.